Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope everybody's having a great day. I've just been working on something and thought this video will be going live on, I think it's like October 29th, so just before Halloween. I hadn't actually thought that I would do a Halloween card because they're pretty rare, but when you're landing on a date that close to Halloween, how can you not? So I've been working on a few things, and the first thing that I'm doing is I am coloring. I'm coloring these hats, essentially, these witches' hats. So I've colored a few of them. These kind of blank white areas are where I'm going to do some gold stickles. So I'm leaving those. And I left one. I started coloring it, and then I was like, well, I could leave that and show you guys how I'm coloring here a little bit, give you a little bit of a mm, kind of a show by show there a little bit. So I'm going to be using my Ohuhu Ohuhu art markers. Yeah, I got these last year for Christmas. Now I have stamped the images with my Gina K Designs amalgam ink in the jet black, I believe it's called. This is how old mine is. It's pretty, oh, sorry, obsidian is the color. I've had it for a while. It's pretty banged up. But when you stamp with this ink, when you use the amalgam ink, you get a pretty crisp outline, but it also allows you, I could watercolor with this, or I can use alcohol markers. Um, Usually when I'm doing sentiments and stuff like that, like to use VersaFine Clair, but this is a pigment ink, so it has like a type of solvent. It's got glycerin and a solvent in it. So when you use alcohol markers with it, it reactivates that, and then you get some bleeding. So you can't use this with alcohol markers. You want to use like an archival or a dye-based ink, or you can use an amalgam ink. And what I like about this is that I can stamp this the once because I don't always know. Typically, I'm using my alcohol markers to color now, but I could use pencil crayons with this now if I wanted, and use like some mineral spirits. If you want to see some different coloring videos, I believe I did a playlist of Coloring 101 where I show coloring with pencil crayons and how to get smooth transitions and colors with that. I show another one where I'm using dye-based markers. So whether it's Crayolas, I'm using Tombows, but you can use your kids' markers that you have in your pencil case at home, and how to get nice tones with that. And then I also do some alcohol marker coloring videos as well, showing you a little bit about getting tones and highlights, things like that. But what's nice about this is because I tend to, when I'm stamping, I like to stamp all of my images. So I get them all done and I stamp them, and then I can just take like I have a small mm, case of alcohol markers that when I go on vacation or when I'm traveling, or I take them upstairs and they sit by me by the TV. So when we're watching a movie or something and I feel like doing some coloring, I have it all there. So by stamping with this particular product, I know that I'm going to be able to use whatever medium I want. So that's what's nice about an amalgam ink. That's what they're supposed to allow you to do. Okay, so I have already started. Unfortunately, you can see here, I'm not sure how much you can see there, but I did get a little bit of black. All I did was take my darkest shade, which in the Ohuhu is NG09, which is neutral gray 9, and just kind of touch just above the belt here, I guess, on the hat brim. The next one that I'm going to do is going to be, and I'm just getting out my color swatch here. I'm going to go darkest to lightest. Some people like to go lightest to darkest, but I'm going to do darkest to lightest. So the next one that I'm going to go to should be NG07, so neutral gray 7. These particular markers have a bullet, a chisel tip, but the nice thing is they also have the brush tip, which makes them really nice for doing a nice smooth, like to get a good blend. You want to go down into the darker color and then you kind of just swipe, give some nice swipes up, and that'll give you a bit of I'm trying to think of the word that I'm looking for here. It'll give you a nice blend because it'll blend a little bit more naturally. And I'm going to take this all the way up to the top. I'm kind of switching it out from how I did it on this particular one because these are the three. So these hats are the same, these hats are the same, these hats are the same sound. I'm going to take this up, but I'm going to make my light source kind of right in the center. So I'm going to make this a little darker to the edges here, like that. And then for this one, I'm going to, again, I'm just taking my brush, the brush tip, adding it into the slightly darker color, and just kind of flicking it out, just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the next latest color, which is NG06, which is called Neutral Gray 6. And from here, I'm going to go into the previous color and I'm going to flick, just continue to flick. And because I'm going to be cutting these out, I'm not super worried. So this is a stamp set. I'm pretty sure, again, I don't buy like a ton of Halloween because it's not, it doesn't tend to be a holiday or an occasion that I give a lot of cards. But I'm thinking I'm doing up my niece and nephew. I'm sorry, I'm moving on to the next one, which is NG03, Neutral Gray 3. My niece and nephew are gluten intolerant and they're not great on dairy either. So when they go trick-or-treating, most of the stuff they end up getting, they don't have a ton of candy that they can have and things like that. They can do potato chips, but they don't really do too much chocolate. So I like to do up a little goodie bag for them. So they'll go trick-or-treating, so they go and they have the fun and stuff, but then their folks will give them a like they kind of trade in their candy and they get uh, like a toy or something like that. That's what they do. Some of the candy that they can eat, veggie straws, things like that, they'll keep those. So what I thought I could do actually when I had this idea, as I was thinking, oh, what am I going to do for that video coming out that week? I'm like, oh, I could do a Halloween one and then do some cards to put in the kids' goodie bags. So what you missed there was me taking my lightest shade and I was continuing to go over from the darkest into the lightest. So I'm basically filling in all of this area, but I'm using my lightest color to kind of to blend out the other three markers that I used. So this one I don't necessarily need to have quite as much flicking, but this will allow and kind of rehydrate that original like the dark line that I had done there. The alcohol will rehydrate and it helps it to move within the paper so that the colors start to blend a little bit better. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like there. So this, you can imagine the light source is coming from here down. So it makes it look a little 3D. Okay. Now I'm going to add in my highlights, which I'm doing red. So it's going to be similar to this one down there. My nephew's favorite color is red. So I'm going to be using red on his. So this one's going to be for my niece. And then I'm going to have three others that are that I can use. So first color that I'm going to use is R8. This is the dark red. So again, I'm going to do darkest to lightest, and it's called Geranium. And I'm just going to start at the end of the brim here, and I'm going to bring that in, again, just using some flicks so that it doesn't end up having a super hard edge. Bringing that in. And I'm also going to come in here along the buckle where this is sitting there. That would be an area that would have kind of like a shadow from where the buckle is sitting. This looks like it's a bit of a belt loop area. So that would have, if you imagine the light hitting it, that would throw just a bit of shadow to the underneath area there. And this would also have a bit of shadow there. Okay, so that's it for this dark red. She's pretty intense. Next color that I'm going to do is R2, and this is called Vermilion. Really great thing to do when you have markers if you're not sure, because these ones, like Copic comes with their perfect blending charts and things like that. My challenge is that I don't like to have to pay for the price of Copics. This was a 200-piece set for like $100. I think it was something like that. So it's like, so yeah, 200 markers, might be 150 markers for like $85. So it's, very, very inexpensive. And just on Amazon. Yay. But what you can do is to test out. So I have one really big chart here of all of the colors that I have. And then what I did is I picked out colors and that looked like they went together, but then I try them out on a sheet using similar cardstock so that I know and I can see how they blend together. Now this one has some boxes, which is handy to try and, it's a box. I still wasn't able to keep it in the lines. But you can also just on the same cardstock that you're using, blend out. Try them out. See how you like them. See how you like them going one color into the other. Does it move it enough for you? Um, so that it does have that bit of a blending. So I don't know if you saw that, but as I pulled this out, because there's sometimes a vacuum mechanism in here, which is often why people end up getting splooshes, especially if you've got Copics as well. If you know you're going to be using your pen a lot, keep it open. Like you can put the lid on like this, but leave it open because every time you pull this out, the air pressure pulls the ink from inside the tube into the tip of your brush, which is how you get like you pull that out and then you put your tip down and you get this big because it's just full of ink. So when I pulled that open, I did get two little splotches here, but that's okay. It's not a problem because I'm going to be cutting these out. So I could use a colorless blender to take that out if I needed to, but I don't need to. So now I am using the mid-tone and I am going back over the dark tone and then bringing the mid-tone out. So you want to start on the dark tone and you come out with that. Here, I want this slightly darker here where I think the shadow will be there. And come around there. And come out from there and down to there. Now that should be the last of that red. So I am going to close, as I said, I'm going to close my brush because this is the last of the coloring that I have to do. So this is now R3. Coral red, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to go over all three colors, the whole thing. And that's going to allow those three tones to blend together. Okay. Very nice. Okay, quite happy with that. So I'm going to put those to the side now. Not sure where my elastic for them went. So that's the other thing too, is with the Ohuhus, what I do is when I found a blend that I like, I put elastic around them because then they keep together. Because when they're in the big case, I want them to be relatively easy to pull out the families that I know that I'm going to use. So for example, the purple that I did here, these are the shades that I like together. So I keep them together because if I'm deciding, okay, I want that to be purple, I want to be able to pull the color that I need for that entire section, right? This is the pinks that were here, and these are the blues that I use. So I keep them together. Then I don't have to try and find them out of 200 markers kind of thing. Okay. So I'm just going to give this, it is alcohol ink, so it won't be that bad. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I want to add a little bit of zhuzhing to it. So because this one, I'm going to stamp this one first. What I want to do, this is my stamp platform. So this is where I was stamping it. And you can see here, I have my stamps still in here. So this is one of the things that I wanted to show you was how you can take these items, particularly if you're using, because what I want to do is I want to emboss the line. So I want to add a little bit of shine now to the outlines. So with amalgam ink, it does stay wet enough long enough that I could have embossed over top of this. But the problem is that when you get like you do the powder and then you dry it or melt it kind of thing, it can your tips of your markers when they're coming up against the sides of it can reactivate and melt, and then it can start to wear down the nibs on your markers. So you've paid a lot of money for them, so you want to keep them in good condition. So for those who haven't figured this out, I am going to be heat embossing to add a little bit of shine to the outline of my uh, images here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to dab these guys with some anti-static powder. Okay. Ooh, that's a lot on there. Gonna have some more to do, so I'm just gonna put this to the side. Okay, so you can see this. So it's almost like a talcum powder. I don't tend to like to use it when it's in my platform because again, it goes everywhere. So and I'm just gonna top that off. I still want to keep it on there though. So I haven't moved these from when I stamped them originally. So technically, if I have done my job correctly, and this is, we will soon see what happens here, right? Um, I'm gonna, let's see if that still pretty much lines up. Looks like it does. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my pigment ink here. So this is, again, it's VersaFine Clair Nocturne pigment ink. And because I don't like to use black embossing powder because it goes everywhere, what I want to do is I'm going to stamp this with my black pigment ink. That will stay wet long enough for me to put the clear embossing powder over it. And from there, I'll be able to make it shiny. So I'm just going to ink up my images here. Moment to kind of stamp down. And again, a pigment ink does not absorb into your paper. That's why it stays dry, it stays wet for so long, which allows you to do, shift it just a bit, but it's good enough. Pretty happy with that. So it allows you to add your images just enough time to keep them dry. But in order to do that, you need to make sure that you're giving it enough time to transfer to your paper because it doesn't absorb like a dye-based ink. Right? Just stamp that down. But being able to technically do this is the benefit. Oh yeah, those ones turned out perfect. Okay. Um, all right, so because I want to get this on, I want to put the embossing powder on here. I'll dry it. I'll do all of that first, and then I'll show you guys what this looked like. Let's put that in instead. Okay, so I have my clear detail embossing powder. Again, if you're going to invest in quality inks, this is something that I would invest in instead. Like if you like to do a lot of heat embossing, instead of investing in all of the different embossing colors, embossing powder colors, I would instead invest in a very good pigment-based ink because anything that I use on a pigment-based ink and then emboss with clear embossing powder, it will be that color. I showed you that in the last video that should be coming up. It's a baby video. So I'm just going to put this off to the side here. And then I'm going to heat this up. So I'm going to bring in my, this is just like a pot, a trivet holder. You need some tweezers here to hold this. And I'm going to bring in my heat it tool. So this is a Ranger heat it tool. It's really great for using when you are doing things like what is it, like mixed media art, things like that, where you have to dry your paint in between if you're doing watercoloring, things like that. But you can also heat emboss with it. It just takes a little bit of time. It looks like a hair dryer. It is not a hair dryer. It gets super, super hot. So please do not use this to dry your hair, etc., because that would not be good. Um, but what I do like about it too is that number one, it's got a little bit of time. I don't get quite as much warpage when I'm using this particular product. It gives me time to see my embossing powder kind of melting, and then I can move on. But the other thing that's also nice, if you watch a lot of videos, you watch the content creators, me melting their heating boss or their embossing powder, and it is so loud. It's so loud. Like I wouldn't be able to talk, like carry on a conversation, keep doing this with you, um, while I had my heat tool going. So I really appreciate that about this. It allows me to continue doing what I'm doing without having to stop and edit or go forward or whatever, pause the video, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so you can see this happening. As I said, most of my videos are live, right? So not live, but you're doing it, you can do it in same time as me, basically. Okay, so you can't really see it. You can just kind of catch right here, like on this spider, which I'm actually going to end up cutting off anyways, because I'm going to have to fussy cut these guys because they didn't have a die. But when I'm looking for images, if they don't have a die, I am looking for straightforward images that I can cut up if I have to fussy cut. And this one's very, very simple, so that's no problem. But you can see here where it's slightly jogged so that I didn't put this paper in exactly right, because if you look at this one, look at how nice and straight that spider web is. So I have just a skosh of ghosting here where I did the black line, so the extra black stamp. But you can see how nice that is to have the yeah, just to have the extra shine on it. So in order to move this forward, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out to no, I'm not actually, because I need to let the next part dry. So I'm going to give these guys a wipe. Like that. And then I'm going to pull them off the board. So this is why I left them in, is so that I could show you the benefit of a stamping platform. This stamping platform, you can stamp with blocks. That's really great. And if you know how to do proper stamping techniques, again, there are videos. I did stamping 101 playlists to show you how to do it. If you don't want to have to invest in a stamping platform or there's a bunch of different kinds out now. This is just the benefit of being able to do this. And I'm going to show you another one here in a minute. But first of all, what I want to do is I will show you the stamp I'll be using. So this is a ginormous, not ginormous, it's 6x6 Halloween stamp with these funny eyes on it kind of thing. This is from Simon Says Stamp a couple of years ago. I've only used it once or twice, but it's a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do though is, so when you stamp it, so all of this black area, if you heat emboss it, well, you don't have to heat emboss it, but you stamp that in black and it covers up, but then you have white behind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some very basic ink blending to get some color that is going to show behind it kind of thing. And again, as I said, my nephew's favorite color is red. So I'm going to use a lot of red, but I want to put in a little bit of yellow and a little bit of orange as well, just to kind of break it up so that it's not all, red eyes behind black. Looks a little demonish. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a bit more. I'm going to add in just a little bit more uh, yeah, a couple other colors. So now I'm just taking my blending brushes, and the inks that I am using are the Elements by Lavinia. So this first one, the yellow, is going to be Sundance. And I'm just going to go in, and this does not have to be anything perfect. And it doesn't matter if I'm getting heavy splooches like that, doesn't matter at all. Because most of this, again, the majority of this is going to be covered by like the stamp, right? All I'm doing is adding some background color essentially, so that when I go to do the stamp, the eyes aren't white, which if you're doing white, like you can have just white spooky eyes, that would be cool. What would also be cool is if you did, like if you stamped it or if you had some glow in the dark kind of paper, that would be kind of fun. That would be different, right? Okay, so that's my yellow. Again, that's Elements. These are dye-based inks by Lavinia. These are like you can splatter these to get the fun water reactive techniques kind of thing. This is Russet Orange, again, Lavinia, dye-based inks. You can see on the inside of the lids, as I've said before, I ink up my brush and then I'll tap off into the lid because I'll often watercolor with these. So I put a sploosh of water in there and use that as my palette. And then none of my ink gets wasted, right? Kind of inking a little bit out of where I need to. I don't technically need all of this space because it's only a 6x6, but I want to make sure that I am getting as much as I need in there. What else we got here? So reds, some of those. And I don't even mind, again, like I said, some of these areas of like the dark, heavy color that's coming through, that'll show through, but I think it'll add kind of an interesting texture to some of the eyes that are looking out, right? I think that'll be kind of cool. Okay, so a little red, or sorry, a little orange, a little yellow, and now I'm going to come in with the red. And that's going to be an Emperor Red by Lavinia again. And let's pick up the brush here. tap off, and we're going to come right in there. And the nice thing about this, because I was going to add in some green, because I think the green behind the black is very funky. But I wasn't sure how, what's the word that I'm looking for? If it would get a little too brown behind, because when you mix um, green with orange, it tends to be very, very brown, which might not be the look that I'm looking for. I have a little too much yellow, I think. So I want to get a little bit more of the red in, getting that like that. Make sure that we've also got it fully covered edge to edge here. Otherwise, my stamp isn't going to come in correct. Yeah, almost like a tiger mark there. If you've ever seen, this technique is sort of similar to the Joseph Coat technique, except for that's kind of more an embossed resist. But again, that's another ink blending, full panel ink blending video where it doesn't necessarily matter what you've done on it, kind of thing. Okay, so I'm going to move my brushes to the side here. Hopefully I don't stick my arm in them. Lift this up and I'm going to clean off my glass mat here, because now technically what I could do if I wanted to is give these a couple of spritzes with some water and lift that on a separate piece of paper. Then I could, die cut or whatever. But for the sake of the video, we're not going to do that. No. All right, so I'm going to do this. So, and even though it doesn't look like that was a lot of ink, that was a lot of ink. So we're going to give it a minute, because I'll show you what happens if we were to try and if we were to try and emboss on that right now. Um, Even though it doesn't look like it's particularly wet, uh, let's watch what happens and how much stickiness there is if I try to put my embossing powder on that. So here we go. Look at how well that has coated. That is entirely stuck to that. So now I'm gonna have to basically brush that off, but let's take a paintbrush here and we'll just brush that back in so that that doesn't end up drying on there, because I might have to use my drying tool. But first of all, I'm going to cut out the shapes of a couple of these, the hats. It's going to be one. And I will also give it a little bit more time to dry, because I'm also going to show you what we're going to do for my niece's card. So I'm trying to do a few different cards here. All right. So first of all, I'm going to make this a little easier for myself, and I'm going to cut each of these out. So I'm only dealing with just the individual image. That's the best thing to do. Okay. Go here, like that, and here, like that. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to get a really good set of fussy cut scissors. These have a nice pointy tip. Please don't aim them at your eye, but you want a good set of fussy cut scissors. And I'm going to come in and you want to take nice, good strokes, and you want to move the paper. You don't move your scissors, you move the paper. And you can see here, I'm actually, well, I don't know if you can see that there, but I'm cutting off. There's a little line here of red where I colored outside the line, but I knew that I was going to be trimming this. So I'm not really too worried about anything that is going outside of the line, because I knew I'd be cutting right up, essentially right to where I heat embossed. So I don't need to worry about that too much. So I had thought about starting the video with these already cut, but I thought it was a really good idea to show you how you can go in and use your stamp platform to, again, on your images on something that you've already lifted out. How do you go back to that? That kind of thing. So I did think about saving a couple of minutes here. When it gets too long, sometimes I will cut a bigger piece off just so that I can continue to maneuver into some of the finer spaces. And catching the edge there. Shoop. Okay. One. Very nice. We're going to need this pink one for sure. Okay. So I'm going to start off at the edge here. And again, I'm going to maneuver my paper. And getting Image there. Again, I've got a little bit of pink that came out of my lines, but we're going to cut away from that. And I knew that I would be, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to tip to the ribbon. Okay, and we're going to pop that off there. This one, and that one, I'll pop that off too. Sometimes it's nice to just cut off the little edges like that, those little pieces, because it gives you more maneuvering room without worrying about like possibly getting a paper cut on your finger, because you know that's super fun. Not around the edge like so. So I think I was talking about this, but I might not have. Might have been a squirrel moment. When I'm looking at images that don't have matching dyes, or if I'm looking to save money, this is one of the things that I would look at is how easy do I think that the image can be fussy cut out? Is it going to be too difficult for me? And I'm, going to seriously regret it. Now, I mean, I'm not going to lie, there are some images that I don't have dyes for, and they are super finicky, but I really like the image a lot. But I might only use it 2 or 3 times. Like I'm not going to use it a ton, right? Which also makes it something that it's like, okay, that's, do I want to invest in a dye for that? Okay, that's cute. So I'll also show you on the blue one here how simple. So this was my other thing. So you see how it's got the it's kind of got like the spider and the spider web and stuff like that. It's very cute. And if I was just stamping this on the inside or just stamping this on the card and coloring there, I would leave that on. But because I'm cutting it, that is a pain in the butt to try and get all 8 legs, the spindliness. So I'm going to cut the spider off. Jill Rice, who is on the design team for Lavinia, what she'll do when she's cutting out the butterflies, she'll just cut off the antenna of the butterfly and then stick her image down. So she'll stick it down and kind of pop it up, and then she'll put it like when she's put the image back onto her card, like stuck it down, she will just take a Sharpie marker, like a really fine tipped one, and draw in the antenna, which so much easier than trying to cut around the antenna. Okay, I'm gonna have to, it's too little wiggle room. So you see, I just cut off the spider, but I did leave the cute detail of the spider web on there. So, and this, because I'm right-handed, I'm actually going to come, so getting my scissors in and around this angle here from that space was a little complicated. So I'm going to pop that. And I will need one more of these. So I'm going to cut out this last little red one here. And you can see I had quite a bit of coloring outside of the lines there, but that's okay because I could cut it off here. Scissors again, shifting the scissors in and around the little belt that comes off there, going up the top of the, I don't even know what you'd call that. What is it? This isn't the brim. What's the top part, like the pointy top point of the hat here? Does anybody know what that is? If you do, please put it in the comments. That would be awesome. It's gonna pick at my brain because I don't know what that's called. I know the flat part, that's the brim of the hat, but I can't remember what the top part is called there. So okay, so there we go. That's 4 hats that I've cut out in 4 minutes, right? So that's what you want to look at. If you don't have the finances to invest, or you want to spend your money in other areas for your crafting, check out your images. Make sure to check and see. Some of them will be very doable and easily fussy cut, right? So not a problem with that. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wipe that off. So I'm going to put these aside. I'm going to continue to allow this guy to dry. I might have to pull out my heat tool a little bit on that. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to work on for my niece's card. Because this is, again, another one that's really easy to do really, really quickly. And so this is a stamp set that I think I got. I think I actually got it at a garage sale, but it has Happy Halloween in the center of it. But it's the size, basically, it's like a full size card. And I'm pretty sure this might be attached. I don't think I've ever used this. But it's a photopolymer, like she is on there. I don't know if that's coming off. And you can tell I've never used this. So I'm pretty sure this is an old, like a Stamping Up stamp. Oh, this is why, because you're not supposed to peel that, because that is entirely attached. So what I'm going to do on this one, I want this to be a nice, simple, easy, quick card, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on pink, because again, I told you my niece's favorite color is pink. So I'm doing this hot pink. Um, but what I'm going to do is put my paper in here, and I'm actually going to have this kind of centered because I want I've got lots of space on here, so I don't have to worry about it too much matching, like being specifically in a specific spot, specifically in a specific. That doesn't make sense. But I can pull this out once I've done stamping it. I can pull it out, trim it down because it should fit a 4.25 by 5.5 inch, so standard A2 size. So I've added my stamp in here. Again, I've never used this stamp. So sometimes when you're conditioning stamp, you want to rub your fingers over it like this. This is, you can just stamp it multiple times too, and that works as well. But what this does is that there's often a film on your stamp from the manufacturing process. So now, because it's Halloween and we're going to do this dark, I'm going to stamp in VersaFine Clair. And so I want to ink up, and I'm going to ink up really well. I want a lot of ink onto my stamp here. And I might have to even, before I go and do the big stamp there, I might have to re-ink my ink pad here. Yeah. So I'm kind of tapping, shifting my ink pad back and forth because that allows it to touch all of the places where, because we get habitual about how, like we get a muscle memory of where, and I'm pulling out, this is an air hockey puck. Because again, I don't want to invest in one of the fancy, you can get these really cool tools that have like a doorknob on them and a nice felt pad that will help you add pressure and touch down like a adhere your ink to your paper, help to catch all of the areas. But I just got a simple air hockey pad. A dry erase marker also works like a darn. Had one of those too. So you just take that, push down, right? So that's another option. Um, but yeah, we tend to get a muscle memory when we're stamping, even inking up and taking our ink pad to our stamp pad. We get a muscle memory. And so we'll have certain areas on our ink pads that are, I don't want to say dead, but like dry or have less ink on them versus, say, an edge or something, right? So, and the beautiful thing is because I'm using my stamp platform, I can go back in, re-ink up, and I made sure that this didn't shift when I was lifting. And so I can go back in. I'm just going to down and make sure that there's good contact with my stamp to my paper. Because again, it's a pigment-based ink, so it needs time. It needs just a squidgy of friction in order to transfer the ink from your stamp to your paper pad. Because again, the paper is not going to pull it and pull the ink into it like a dye-based ink will. It's going to sit on top. Turning my paper. Go. And going again, I'm just gonna, so by rubbing it, by doing this, you're touching, okay, creates just that little bit of friction that allows the ink to transfer from your stamp onto your paper. Okay. Well, okay, that's pretty good, and dark. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna move it to the side here, and then I'll show you, I'm gonna pull out another color, which is what I would typically do. But again, because my niece's favorite color is pink, we're doing pink for her. This is the benefit of creating and doing your own cards, right? Is that you can customize them to what you know your friends and family like. I make a lot of generic cards, but when I'm doing something for someone specific, I like to take their tastes into consideration, right? My niece's birthday card this year was a unicorn because she loved unicorns. Actually, it was supposed to be something else. And then she decided they were having a unicorn party and she just became this huge unicorn um person who just adored unicorns. So because I had gotten the stamp set in, I saw them and I was like, oh my God, so cute. So I'm just going in here and I'm just removing the embossing powder that's stuck in a few places. Because you noticed, despite putting it to the side here and knowing that I had more things I wanted to that I was going to be embossing. I didn't use my embossing. Shame, 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 shame. Okay, I'm gonna put that to the side here for a moment. And this time, I'm going to bring the stamp out again, but this time I am going to use my embossing buddy. So this has anti-static powder in it. So I'm just going to rub that on there a bit. Put that to the side here. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on kind of like this orangey cardstock, right? Like it's a much more Halloweeny color, kind of this yellowy orange. Same process though. I'm going to ink up and I'm, kind of tapping it down and doing a kind of a twisty turn, tamping, making sure that I'm moving my ink pad in different directions, kind of a back and forth motion. Over. What's nice about this particular stamp is it's going to take up the entire front of my card and it has the sentiment with it too. So what this makes a really easy peasy card. Even then you can just add something on the inside or whatever. Okay. Showing all the edges. Yep, that's good. Okay, pretty happy with that. Do this, and I'm going to give this a quick wipe so that when I go and close up my um, stamp positioner here, my stamp platform, this isn't going to transfer a ton of ink onto the pad below it. So now, again, I'm just going to add the embossing powder here. And hopefully I won't have as many sticky spots as I did on the pink one because I did use my anti-static. Okay, there we go. Yeah, none. Perfect. Okay, so let's now, I'm going to pull out my silicone trivet, which again is just really helpful to gives me a place where I can put something down and it also doesn't create a ton of heat on my uh sorry, I'm just trying to find my tweezers here. Ton of heat on my glass mat, which is good. So the nice thing is here, we're gonna start dry a little bit from the back, a little bit, kind of heat it just a bit from the back. Let my heat gun heat up. Okay. So while I'm working on Halloween here, it occurred to me, what is your guys' favorite holiday, or do you dress up? Are you one of the people who I was actually with some friends at a crop this weekend, and two of them were people who were like, yeah, we just turn out the lights. They don't have kids, their kids are all grown and so they don't particularly celebrate Halloween or participate in that and that's a choice. That's good. That's fine. I love Halloween. I mean, it's not my favorite holiday, but I love Halloween. I grew up in a small town and we used to I think my last year that I trick-or-treated, I was like 12 or 13, I think. Maybe even Yeah, I think I was 12 or 13 was my last year that I trick-or-treated. And we would come home, like I would come home, uh, I think, I don't know, I always thought it was like 10 o'clock when I came home, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It must have been 9. But we would get started and had a great time with from the time that I think from the time that I was 8, I was out there on my own. Well, not on my own, I was with my friends and whatever. But I would come home with a half of a pillowcase full of candy and whatever, and that kind of thing. And so I love Halloween. I love it when kids come trick-or-treating. um I dress up. I spent a lot of time working in retail, and I was the one who always volunteered for the Halloween shift because I loved giving out the candy. Um, and I would dress up. I remember working at a particular store one Halloween, and it was like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday was Halloween, and they said that you could dress up. And so I dressed up and had a different costume for each night. Um, yeah, I do like a good dress up, not gonna lie, not gonna lie. Okay, so I'm just melting this now. It's coming out really good, even with the places where there's still maybe a little bit of embossing, but that's okay. It doesn't matter to me. There. So it's just kind of melting. We're getting this really lovely little shine on the pink. Turned out really good on kind of that orangey, the orangey red there. Sorry, the orangey yellow. Now I'm just gonna run my heat tool over this a little bit. Again, I'm gonna try and make sure that this is dry. Also, I want to make sure that there isn't any more embossing powder on there. So this is the nice thing about the Heat It tool, again, is that I can come in and dry the inks, dry my paper. It's almost like drying paint, right? It's very similar because we've now added, even though it didn't seem like we added a lot of, um, it didn't seem like we added a lot of liquid to the paper, but it's paper. So anything that you're adding to it will be a lot and it will hold on to it. So I'm gonna test this again. Move this to the side. I seem to have some embossing powder here. You have embossing powder everywhere. That's awesome. Get that a wipe done here. So I'm gonna give this a test first to see if anything sticks to this. So you can see I did get a bit of a curl, but I'm gonna give it a kind of rub it together here because I do want to move on to the next part. Let's see, which is I'm gonna stick. Oh, good. Okay, yeah, that mostly came off, so that's excellent. Okay, so putting this to the side, I did tell you that I need to ink my Versa. Nope, yeah, my Versa fine. One of these. Nope, gotta find my re-inker for the right one. Versa fine. Next one. This is Nocturne. Nocturne. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to pull out my ink pad because I do want it to be quite juicy for this next stamp because it's so big. So I have my re-inker here. Again, this is it's really good to invest in the re-inkers when you can. Um, it helps you save the pads. It's very good. But choose the colors that you use the most. I mean, I've been using this fairly consistently for a year, and I think this is I've had this for a long time, but I think this is only like the fourth or the fifth time I've re-inked it. And I use it for techniques all the time. I have the navy re-inker. I have the warm breeze one. Just a little bit more down the center there. Okay. So basically you just kind of squidge out the ink out of the bottle here. And then I like to take the tip and just kind of rub it into the pad. This way then I feel like I'm not wasting anything. I've seen people where they kind of rub their ink all over it and then use like a credit card or a gift card to kind of wipe it in and out. And I'm like, I don't think I need to do that. I'll just use the tip and kind of rub it in and it will transfer over and stuff. Okay. So because again, I want to be able to get a really great image. So I'll show you what these guys looked at. Like, look at how nice and shiny that is. It came out really great. You can see all the fine details on the legs of the spiders. Super cute, right? Super cute. Okay, so I have given this a bit of a wipe, but we'll give it a bit of a wipe, a bit more with a baby wipe, kind of clean that off and then bring out the microfiber towel, give that a go. And I'm going to put that back on my acetate here. I think I put it upside down. That's kind of funny. There you go. Despite looking at the words, I still managed to do it backwards. Okay, then I put the acetate. It goes that way. Yeah, this is going to go into there. All right. So one stamp set away. Now we're going to pull out the big stamp. Okay. So again, this one was that's the word that I want to say. It was part of I think it was Stamp Timber. It was either last year or the year before. Simon Says Stamp. They created this ginormous uh let's see here, background stamp. So which way will I get more red? Quite a bit of red that way, hey? All right, so I don't have to have this. I can put this right up to the corner, which is good because I did cut my paper large enough that I can ensure I'm going to have good coverage. Right. Okay, there we go. All right. Ooh, she's sticky. All right. Actually, I'm going to sit a little closer there. Okay, let's get this on the go here. All right. Okay, so now we're going to ink up. And again, this is going to be, you can see, look at how much of the ink it's holding. This is a big, big stamp. Oh, whoever said that, thank you very much. Yeah. Remember to use my anti-static. Okay. And now I'm going to turn my ink pad. Okay. Catch that edge there. Right. And I'm going to take my little hockey puck here. And I'm just going to add some gentle pressure. Again, I'm not doing chest compressions. I don't want it to blow out the stamp. I don't want it to push so far that it squishes the silicone and it moves out from there. But I do want it to add enough down to okay. And we're going to go in. So you can see this is why I wanted to re-ink my ink pad because I want to make sure that I am filling in all of a sudden. You can see how much of the like the red, and maybe you can't see that, but you can see how much of the red and like the colors are showing through. And I want that to be pretty darn close to solid black by the time I'm done. So re-inking and having it in the stamp platform really helps because I can go back and I can go back and I can go back, right? Again, and this is the benefit. If I didn't have a stamp platform and I was trying to do this, oh, see, much better. Now I can see this area over here and this top area. I really need to focus there. Make sure I'm getting lots of ink there, a little bit down here. Because this thing I could actually put on my glass mat, turn it upside down and stamp from that direction, right? Like that is a possibility. If you don't have a stamp platform kind of thing, you don't have to use this. It's just it's very difficult to go back if you've made a mistake or there's some missed areas, that kind of thing. Oh, and that shifted. So I definitely need to lift. And I want to reposition this into the spot where it's supposed to be. My magnet down. So I'm getting really good coverage, but I do need to work a little bit more in the center here. Okay. Or off to this side here, but because I am going to trim this down, I'm not going to make a 6x6 card. It's just going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But I do want to make sure that I can pick and choose where am I going to cut it at, right? Oh, it's down here. I definitely want to make sure that I'm getting some pressure right here. Everything else is pretty decent. I would say pretty darn close to good. And a little bit over here. Just going to get my hand under there so that I can really work my ink pad into the stamp a little bit. And this area right there. More there. Okay. Just a little bit more right there. To push down in these areas here, I think. We're getting to the point where the paper might not even start to hold much more ink. But where there's a will, there is a way. So we're just going to give it a minute. This is a deep and intense saturation that I'm going for here. Most stamping doesn't take this much. I have this, I have another coffee stamp that has this, that again, it's got the words. So like the eyes are kind of clear. It has words that are like espresso and perfect. Look at that. So much better. Espresso, Americano, latte, those kind of things. And the words are clear. So you would do similar where you would do your coloring behind and then put your color over top. And it takes a lot of ink. And this is the only way, is using my stamp platform is the only way that I do it because again, it's very hard to, or unless I'm happy with it looking slightly grunge, so not a bad thing. That's not the worst thing in the world. But look at how nice and intense that looks. So again, I'm going to bring my clear detail embossing powder because I want this to have that nice fun shine. And go with that. And I think that I have enough through the panel here. Let's get that right to the top so I can kind of filter that down. And I'm going to tap it and kind of shake it down, my paper. And good tap. You can see what's been covered so far, what hasn't. Oh, geez, totally forgot. Oh yeah. Yeah, like I could have been happy. Because I had a vision in mind for this, I could have been happy with the grunge of it being like of it looking like with some of the orange and the red and the whatever showing through. That could have been just fine. Um, I just made a different because I have a particular um idea in mind. So I'm just coming in here and just kind of catching the edges here. So this is showing where my paper on the edges was still just a wee bit wet with the ink from below. So I'm just taking a flat brushed paintbrush, dry one, and just kind of wiping the edge of that. Taking that out of there. In the end, it won't really matter because I'm going to be trimming this anyways, but sometimes it's nice not to have that extra powder to deal with. Okay, so I am done with my embossing powder. So I'm going to put my spoon back in there and I'm going to close it up. Before I dry this, I've got a squeegee of embossing powder there. So let's do that. I heat it, get it all over the place. Bring out my trivet and my heated tool. Stuff all over the place here. So I guess my other question that I wanted to ask you guys is, do you still give out candy? How do you guys like to do that? Do you dress up? I have a cute I had gotten from the dollar store last year, the year before. I have this really cute headband that has rhinestone kitty cat ears. So I wear that. Was walking by that and saw the bling bling, and it's like, oh yeah. So this is the really cool thing about embossing powder. This is one of the things that I found the most fascinating is watching this thing that is dry, right? Like it's a powder, kind of a sticky plastic, and then watching it become liquid and melt. And you can see as soon as I start to see it melting and turning shiny, I'm moving on because I don't want to overheat because you can actually char your paper and burn your embossing powder because essentially it's only plastic. So what's nice about this image is it is so big you can actually see the process of this happening. So I'm going to try and keep it as close to the camera as I can while I'm doing this. So I'm going to get that edge there. Whoops. And then I'm going to bring this in and I'm going to come towards me, catch this last area here. Oh, I lied. There we go. And so you can definitely see. So I can see here where it's warmed up. So kind of it's not shiny, it's just started to warm and then it's come into the clear frost part. So that's the like the overhang of the heat, the residual of the heat from when I was doing the like the original black. There we go. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's so cute, so cute, so cute. Okay, I'm gonna put that there and I'm gonna move it behind so I don't spill my water. All right. Oh, that's going to be so cute. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside for a minute because again, the embossing powder, it's plastic, so it's heated plastic, so it's going to be a little tacky, a little hard to hold. And what I'm going to do is now that this black has dried, is I'm going to come in and I'm just going to give it a bit of a wipe to make sure that there isn't any more of that anti-static powder on there. I'm going to give it a wipe, and I'm going to bring out my paper trimmer, and we're going to trim these guys down. All right, so first one, I want to get right into where the spider's legs are. Give it a straight edge that way. And then we'll come in, we'll do another straight edge on this side. And if I have to trim it down a little bit more, that's okay. It's fine. But I like to try and get it to a basis point. So you can see here. So I don't know if you can see on you guys can't see, but there's a dotted line here where it tells me where it gets to 5.5, which is an A2 size, right? 5.5 and 4.25. So I know that, oh, there's quite a bit left on this one. Oh, most excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make this a little bit smaller then from the edges because I was able to get this to go to 4. So I'm actually going to be able to have a bit of a border on my card, which will be nice. So that means I want to get these two sides down so that I could go 4.25 by 4 inches to have the border. So that's pretty cute like that. Well, I'm a little crooked there. Whatever. Oh, stick it on the card crooked. Nobody will ever know. All right. So I want to see if I can get the bodies of these spiders kind of straight-ish. And then I'm going to come in to where the pumpkins are. That's about that. This side here. No, still a little too long there, but they are coming in here. So we're getting a good 4 inches there. Yeah, 4 inches there. Actually want to take that off a little bit more because you can see where some of the bodies of the spiders are like a half body. You know, when you're doing flowers on a card and you kind of come in, flowers or leaves from the card, and you come in from the side so that it looks like it's a continuous kind of pattern. That's what I'm trying to do here. So that closer there. Okay, that's pretty good. All right. All right, so we've got these two here. I'm going to put my paper trimmer just to the side because I'll have to do that for the big card there. But now I want to pick some bases. Bases here. So we could uh do the black one. And a black one here. Okay, so we could do black. I don't really have a yellow one or an orange one. Not an orange base. That's weird. But I do have, let's see if this pink would go. Is that the same pink? It's a different pink, but she does like pink. So I'll probably do, I had some other card bases here. Where did I stick them? There. So I have a white, I have another black one, but this is a top folding. So we can't really do top folding with these because they are um, landscape orientation, right? This is, you want to do this kind of orientation for top folding. So we're going to have to do, I need side folding note cards. So that would be one. That black one is one. What else have I got in here? Do I have another color that could work with? Yeah. Oh, this gray could be kind of nice on the, is it top folding? No, it's a side folding. Okay. So let's play with some colors and see what we like here. So this kind of orangey yellow, this is kind of interesting on the gray. Like on the, that's not bad. This is it on the black. Now, obviously it pops really well on the black, right? Because you've got the black on the yellow. Might end up being that one too. But let's see what it's on like on the white. Okay. So there's the white. I think actually you're right. I like it on the black. So this one we're going to go black with. Now we've got the gray with the pink. So it's kind of interesting actually. It's not bad because I'm not sure that I actually like these two pinks together. Like this is a very bright pink below it. So I don't think I'm going to use the pink, but the white is nice too. Probably use the white. So we'll use the white for that one. We will use the black for that one, which means I need to get an insert for my black one. Is I can't write on it. And I need to trim it down as well. All right, so I'm gonna do 4, 5, and a quarter for the insert. This one will not need an insert, but I would like to put in a nice, fun sentiment or something on the inside. So I'm going to do that before I stick this down. I'm also going to do the same on this. So on this one that says Happy Halloween, now it does say party, but that's okay. We don't have to worry about that. So on this one, I have Fabulous. This one says Happy Halloween. This one has We All Have a Bit of Magic in Us, which is kind of fun. Because I'm also going to put this on the inside, right? So I think I like this sentiment. We all have a little bit of magic in us. And what I will do is do a couple of stars from this as well. So just in case I end up making a boo-boo on the, because I'm just going to use a block to do the stamping. I'm going to pull out my, get some VersaFine in this nice, like a nice pink color. So just a moment here. I'm gonna hear my, what is this? Charming pink. Lovely. Okay. Will work very good. And I need this thing here. Okay. Oh, blocks. My blocks. Mm, This one and that one. All right. Okay, so in order to get good results with your stamping, you want to have kind of like a mouse pad or something like that that will allow you to stamp down and have something for your stamp to bite into. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to arrange my inside. So this is kind of cute. We could do, I think that's kind of fun. And then if I do, we all have magic inside us. I think that's nice. So if I stamp that down there, that leaves me enough room to do this and then a couple of stars around it. Okay, so I'm going to pick that up uh, on my block here. And I'm pulling out my VersaFine Clair. This is called Charming Pink. And it's pretty bright pink. But what I'm doing here is I'm checking to see how much shine I have coming back at me from the ink because I'm only going to get one shot at this. So I want to make sure that my ink pad or my stamp has been well inked. Okay. And it down. I need to move this because it's tipping. So, and stamp that down. Just give it a momento. Okay, like so. And we're lifting. Very good. Not too bad, not too bad. Oh, what did I do with my there it is right there. Let's give that a wipe. And we will pull that off. And now I want to stick down. I want to stick down my hat because I'm going to do some stars around it. So to do that, I'm going to pull out some liquid adhesive. And we're just going to add a little bit. Doesn't need a lot. Again, it's just sticking to paper. It's paper sticking to paper. So, but we just need enough to ensure it will stick, right? Okay. And I did that from the wrong side because I'm right-handed. So let's turn this to a place that has a space for me to do. And I'm kind of want to just get it down right in here, catching the edge of that us, right? Kind of holding it off of there. Then I'm going to do, so we have this nice big, we have a big star here. And then we've kind of got a little twiddly and another little star. Oh, come on. No, no, don't stick together. All right. So like that. Whoop, fudge. Okay, so I want it to be like that. So I've stuck the stamps down in the position that I want them, ish. Now I'm going to ink them up. So I stuck them down in the positions that I wanted them so that then I could ink it up and uh, kind of have it in the same position when I go to put my stamp down. If I was using, would have been sensible, I could have used the smaller one here too. That would have been easier. Might do that for the other two. Go. Huge. Stamp, and stamp, and stamp, and then I'm going to have the smaller one here. I think this would be kind of cute to have them here. What do we think? Here, here. That's kind of cute. We'll do that there. Oh, I like the bigger one with the smaller one right there. So that up. And ink up. Ink, ink, ink. Dabby, 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 dabby. Tapping, tapping, tapping. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna pop that down. 1, 2, 3. Right. Oh, bit of ink on that from my ink pad. All right, so stamps are done. Okay, now because this was pigment ink, this will stay wet for a moment. Okay, so I'm actually going to take this piece of paper that I'm going to glue on the inside of the black one, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a blot like this, so that when I go to close my card and put the Happy Halloween on top, it's not, yeah, good. So it didn't transfer. Should be good. I actually got a pink splotch from my finger on the other side, so that's awesome. But again, that's why you want to utilize what you've got. Now, in order to keep this a little darker on the edges, what I do want to do though is I'm going to come in with my amalgam ink here, and I'm just going to darken the edges so that it frames nicely the black. Frames making it very clearly the pink and the black. It gives it a really nice kind of border finishing area. And I'm going to give that just a second to dry because I want to do the same thing on the orange while I'm at it. And I have the ink pad out. Okay. As you can see the difference, like look at the difference between where I have edged it with black and then the orange. Like it just continues to look kind of open. I want it to have a finished edge. So by inking it, that's what we're going to do. Right, this down here. Now, this is going to sit out for a moment. Again, I want to give these a couple of minutes to dry. So while I'm waiting, I am going to add in, I'm going to put my, um, uh, I can't think of the word. I'm gonna add in my piece of paper into here, my where I can write my sentiment. So it's like an insert because I'm using a colored cardstock, and particularly one that's so dark. If I had gone with, let's say, that light orange, somebody could obviously write in ink on that, and that would not be a problem. But this is black. Nobody's, most people that you're giving a card to or that you sell a card to or whatever, they don't have like jelly rollers or pens that will write on black. I have some, but it's just nicer and it adds a nice finished touch to your card to have it be like this and be finished. So now I want to add something into the center of here. And I have it's gonna go on Bodhi for my nephew. And I think what I want to do on this one is I think I'm just gonna do this very simple. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. And where did my smaller block go? I don't know. I've lost it on my desk here. So sure I'll find it when I go to clean up. Oh, of course, it's right there. So I'm actually going to use that one. It'll be a little easier. And so I want to get line that up a bit. Like so. And it's a very small Happy Halloween. It's not, it's not anything really big or anything, but just enough for the inside. And I'm just going to use the black Versamark uh, Nocturne. And do right there. Oh, forgot to put my stamp pad under there. Oh well, that's okay. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a rock to make sure that I am getting good contact. Ta-da! There we go. That back to the stamp set so I don't lose it. So it's a very small stamp. So and so despite this video has been, well, we're coming up on about an hour and 15 right now, maybe a little less. But in that time, so this card, oh, I didn't stick it down. This card went together really quite quickly, realistically. So I'm just gonna rub the edges here to make sure that that's not going to transfer onto the orange because I don't want that. So just kind of moving that ink around. And I'm going to stick this down. Now I could pop this up if I wanted. I'm not going to. I'm just going to add this right to the card front. So this orange one, because it had the stamp on it, technically this particular one was the fastest. The pink one wasn't too bad either. We just did some coloring and whatever to add onto it. But because the stamp at the beginning was so large, it like focal image, this card I could have done these two cards in 15 minutes, really. Um, if I wasn't walking through the process, et cetera, et cetera. So, and doing the coloring. So happy Halloween. And then we've got happy Halloween. Nice little easy peasy card. That's easy and quick to pull together, right? Let me just wipe down the edges of this one. We'll finish the pink one. And then we'll quickly move on to the large stamped one. I'm pretty sure I did the inside. I did do the inside on that one. So let's get some adhesive on this. All right. So the adhesive, again, I'm using my glue press from Sweet Petunia. But the I don't use I finished up the it comes with Nouveau glue adhesive in it. And I finished that up very quickly, but I found that it was too thick for me. I wasn't happy with it. So I really like Barely Art glue. So that's what I put back into the bottle and filled it up. So there we go. So we've got Happy Halloween, and then we all have a bit of magic in us. Very, very cute with the little hat that I colored. So it adds that little bit of zip to it. All right, now let's work on nephew's card here. So this one I'm going to trim down because again, it is going to be an A2 size. And I think, so I've got, well, I'll wait until I've trimmed it down. Paper trimmer is here. Now I could use a die to trim this down. That would be fine. But I am just going to use my paper trimmer and I'm going to trim it down to the edge of the black first so that I can get close to a straight edge. And then from there, I'm going to determine what do I want as the actual part of my card front. Yeah. So once you get rid of all of the distraction on the outside, look at how fun that would be as a 6x6. How cool is that? Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Now, I think because I do have this edge on this side that I'm not happy with, a little bit from the bottom. So I'm definitely going to take some of this side off. So I have to bring this down to 5.25 for sure. And I kind of like, so I'm gonna go to 5.5 first. That's going to take that edge off. And I know, oh, oh no, actually, I'm going to have to take quite a bit off. Okay, so I want it to be, I want the eyeballs going up and down. So that means this part of the card is going to get to 5.25. That. And then, so this has a lot to go in because I have to get this to 4 inches. So I want to get as much red in there as I can. And I have a nice center area of red. So I am going to do, yep, right there. So this is to 4. So I'm trimming my panel, the part that I uh inked and embossed and everything. I'm trimming that down to 4 by 5.25. Let me double check that. Yep, 5.25 by 4. Perfect. Now I want to decide on the color that I want to use for the card base. So I've got a couple of options here. So I've got that's not top folding, but I do, doesn't technically matter if it's top folding or not. Okay, that's a white top folding. I have this fun red, seeing as how red is his color. We'll see how well it will go with that because it's a nice, deep, intense red as well. And I also have a black. So let's check these three out and see how they go. So this is on the black. It really does kind of pop on there. Like you just see the edge of the black. So it kind of continues it on. Let's go to the white next. This is the white, really clearly defines the edges, which is quite nice. Neat. Or this is the red. Interesting. Okay, so I'm really torn. I think that actually kind of washes out the colors here a little bit. So I'm thinking I do like the pop of the white. I also like the black. So I think I'm going to do it on the black just to keep it Halloween. Right? Okay, which means I do need to put in a center insert to keep it, so I can write a message in it. So we're going to trim this down. Fairly certain I didn't trim it before. I did not. Here. Now, I want to glue this. I'm going to adhere this into the center of the card. Yep, that's crooked. Let's get that biffed into place there. Much better. Okay. Now the other thing, because I did trim these off, I could actually pull this into the center of the card, right? Which would be really fun when you open this up. Could be a cool thing. Okay, so I'm going to actually add this down because it's going to need to sit with something on it for a moment or two because it's a little curly. So let's add some adhesive here. All right. Centered. Pretty centered. So I'm going to turn this over and yeah. Typically like to use my stamp blocks as a little bit of a weight to kind of adhere things to it. But what I was thinking I would like to do for the front of this card is I'm gonna do, oh, that's gonna be black on black. That's gonna be really dark. Don't think that's actually gonna work. So, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Changing directions here. Mid. Okay, the trick or treat is gonna go on the inside. Trick or treat on the inside. So this is actually a stamp set I just got at the Dollar Tree. So you never know. Go check out where you never know where you're gonna get good stamps. Oh, actually that was pretty on there. Maybe this is might have gotten this at Michael's maybe years and years ago. That's a possibility. Just trying to figure out what I want to do on the front this because I had thought that I would do sentiment. I have these sentiment strips here. This is from Close to My Heart. It says trick or treat or happy hauntings. So I was going to stamp those and then just kind of cut them out and pop them up, but they'll be black on black, which I think will then be too dark on the front of that the front of my it's the word that I'm looking for. Front of my card front. I need a little slow. Nope, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna color this on. This will work. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take, there's this little sentiment here that says fabulous. It's quite small, but I think I can make that work on the front here. Ooh, do I want to do that or do I want to do the trick or treat? Ooh, tough decision, tough decision. This would be bigger on the front, right? Okay, so this should be dry enough. This is what happens when you have to do your thing. Okay, so trick or treat, and then I've got two hats. So we could do one popped up there, one popped up there, and then trick or treat in the center, kind of like that. Or to see the fabulous is just too small. The fabulous is too small. So I'm trying to find a scrap that is large enough to, whoops, stamp my trick or treat. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Yeah, pretty sure that will work right there. Okay. And so now I need some red ink because pink is not his color. And I think the red will really stand out on, sorry guys, I did not anticipate having to use these. My plan did not work. So I've got two reds that I can use. I want to test out the colors on my ink. So, because I want to get one that's closer. I think it might end up being the tulip red. I think this strawberry is going to be kind of too pinky, maybe. Let's see here. Okay. So I think if I'm going to try and match those two colors together, right? So I'm bringing that in. I think, oh no, you know what? I lied. I am going to do the verse of the strawberry because I like that red pulling out some of the darker red. This is almost more orangey. So we're going to do the strawberry. Going to be strawberry. And we're going to do a little bit. We're going to get it a little shiny, little shiny. So I need the stamp pad because I don't want to make a muck of this. And I think this is the first time I've used this stamp. So technically it would be much better if I did this on my stamp pad or my stamping platform. But so I've just stuck my stamp down. I'm trying to do this a little quicker. Yeah, so I've just stuck my stamp down and I've rubbed my finger over it to try and condition it a little bit. Like that. Oh, and I've got a bunch of red off to the side. Give that a bit of a wipe. And we're going to stick this down right in here. And hold that. Give it a good couple of minutes. Okay, trick or treat, and then I'm gonna pull out my um yeah, my clear powder, gonna give that a quick run over. And I don't care if it got a little bit over the sides and stuff like that, because I'm going to be trimming this with my fussy cut scissors, right? So I'm going to be cutting this sentiment out. I don't have a die to trim it, so I'm going to have to fussy cut it, but I do want it to have that same kind of shine as what we have on the with the eyeballs. Alrighty, let's do this here. So we're going to heat it up quickly. Well, we'll heat it up. I don't know how quickly it'll be. Mm, Eating, eating, trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat. Okay, here we go. Oof. Okay, that aside, give that a second to dry. Neat. For the inside, let's pull out some scissors. Now, what I'm going to do is what it's kind of a bubble cut. So I'm kind of going to go in and I'm going to give it a little bit of space around the edges, but I almost as if this particular stamp had a shadow die to kind of cut out the edge around it, right? So I'm going to add a bit of a bubble and just kind of give it a trim like so. Oh, I've got embossing powder on my nails there. All right, and coming around and bump that out a bit, coming in like so. This isn't something I do very often. I do typically, if I'm getting a stamp set that is sentiments, I really do prefer for it to have the die to cut it out, because this is a little bit much. But in when you well, I mean, if I did get this from the dollar store, they wouldn't have had dies, number one. Um, but this is a great alternative. Again, this is another way for you to help your crafting budget go a little further than maybe what it would have. Okay, this should be dry enough. Okay, so now this is pretty stark white on top of here, right? So I want to, I'm gonna chalk the edges, but instead of using my amalgaming, because it's pretty hard to get at in some of the edges here, I'm just gonna take my jewel, it's called a cat's eye, I think it is. It was a color box. These guys don't even exist anymore. I don't think so. And this is a chalk-based ink, so it dries very quickly. It's even quicker drying than dye-based ink. Check out my inking 101s to know the difference. But look at how that took it and made it just a little bit more edgy or a little bit more grunged, so that it's not so white and in your face on the front of the card here, right? Okay. So let's now let's put that away. I'm going to need a weensy bit of foam tape, which I do have some here. And my scissors for that. So I'm going to pop up the sentiment for sure. Might want to pop up those witchy hats as well. Witches, wizards, whatever. Just there without getting, oh, no, a little too close to the edge. Okay. Stick that right there, and I'll do another little bit of the edge on there. There. That's gonna, yep, gonna pop that off too. I got too close, too big for my britches some days, some days, some days. All right, so I'm gonna keep these, put that there, put that here while I figure out what I want to do with the hats. Okay, so I do like the trick or treat. And if I do the hat, one like that, and then another one kind of like that. But I think I do want to pop up the hats as well so that they're off of the shiny part there, right? That makes a little bit more sense. And see, now this tiny little piece here will work in the brim a little bit. See, I still could remember that this part is the brim, but no idea what the other part is called. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right, so I'm gonna do this here. Center. Want to do this piece, an ish piece to the top here. Should be pretty good. Just a little bit for the other part of the brim. Alrighty, let's do. How down can this go? Oh, pretty far. Yeah, okay. Maybe 2 inches out of this guy. Just trying to run out of fingers to hold these with. Just kind of funny. And this one's thinner. Okay, and then the areas on these hats in particular that are still white, I'm not going to make you guys sit here while I do that, but basically what I'm going to do is go in with some probably gold stickles. They'll either be sparkle gold or it'll be a gold matte to make them look like belt buckles kind of thing. That's going to be the plan for that. Is what I'll be doing. And this little piece can actually go on this tip of that hat. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with this. So I think if we do, you know what? Geez. Well, how that's redonkulous. So I'm just going to keep that because I kind of like this trick or treat just like that. Maybe I'll pull the foam off of that and put the other one on the inside. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Change of plans, change of plans, change of plans. So I'm going to do peel and we're peeling. Peeling. Because I think by putting the second hat on there, like typically, again, right, like our brains like to see things in odd numbers. So to have just have two of them on here feels kind of funny. Um, and again, this is going to a young boy, so I'm not going to put any bling on here other than coloring. Like I said, I'm gonna put some gold, probably like a matte gold stickle on the buckles to make it look like an actual belt or a whatever that's like a buckle. Um, but on his, I'm not going to put any glitter or pearls or any of that kind of stuff. Plus, because it's already shiny enough on the front here, right? I think that that's more than enough. And yeah, so that's going to be the front of the card. How cute is that? So on the inside, what I think I want to do is I am going to take this black piece here and I'm going to pull the foam off of this red hat and I'm going to put that there to kind of tie it to the front. And again, I'm going to do, actually, I think I'm just going to do this tiny little fabulous, fabulous, right? That's cute, which will give me enough room to do Happy Halloween, that kind of thing. So let's quickly, I'll just show that here quickly and I'll adhere this down. A little bit of adhesive on this panel. This. So I'm doing this right to the white. I want that edge of black on there. So I want this to come up to the right, like so. And we're gonna buff that into place. And now we're gonna try and take off this foam. So, okay, not too bad. Foam is coming off. One foam. Two. Oh, that one might be good. Oh, no, hold. That's coming. Okay. There's a tiny little piece in the. Whoop, whoop. And that I'm going to do. Nope, I like it over on top of that. So that's what we're going to do. Add some adhesive now. And I do want to make sure that I'm getting enough adhesive on here because this is going to be going over the part that's embossed, which is non-porous, right? It's very slick, very slippery. So I want to make sure that I have enough that it's going to hold on to that part. And then and then I can kind of get it onto the paper. Obviously, the paper is what's going to hold it the most. Um, but that's what we're going to do. And then I'm going to take this little fabulous and use the red, same red that we stamped with out on the front. We need a stamp block here. Fabulous, fabulous. Not quite straight there. Good enough. And get up just a bit. It's a tiny little stamp, so it doesn't need a ton. But because I'm just doing it off of a block here, I want to make sure too that I'm not going to stick anything else down. And I'm going to go fabulous just off to the side here. Okay. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Alrighty. Okay, guys. So that's going to be our 3 cards today. Give me a second. I'm just going to put that out of the way here. Thank you so much. This was a little longer than I had intended it to, but I had an idea and then I was like, oh, great. And then the other idea didn't work. So we started off with the coloring of the stamps and did a little bit of fussy cutting. So again, areas where you can be a little bit more cost conscious on your budget, right? So you don't always have to invest in the dies. It's very simple to do. Adding that, using the stamp positioner, being able to put it back in, adding the embossing powder so that you can add those beautiful, like the little bit of shine on those hats, which is cute. So again, those I'm gonna finish up. I'm not gonna do that on camera today. So we have this cute one here, which took again, this took a lot of time to stamp and to get the full coverage of the ink, but look at how great of a background that is. That is so fun. Trick or treat, another little hat, and then opening up on the inside because it was big enough. I was able to trim that down, add some from the front into the back, so it carries it in. I have another cute little hat in here and a little sentiment, fabulous. And then we have the very simple on the kind of the yellow. So we didn't have to do anything in the back. We just chose a colored cardstock, did black with the heat embossing, clear heat embossing. So black ink with the heat embossed clear, and then just simple happy Halloween. And then on this one again, so we did it on the pink because the recipient loves pink, but we did the black ink again. So to get that and get that shine, we want to be able to just use black ink and clear heat embossing. So you only have to invest in one heat emboss, like one embossing powder, and spend your money on your good quality inks. Good quality inks, you get way more bang for your buck, and then get a clear embossing powder and you're good. Clear, clear detailed, silver, gold, and white. Those are the only 4 that I really recommend that you need. Okay, but start with your clear for sure and get good inks. And on the inside, so we have the nice little hat that we colored and then just a nice little sentiment. That's going to be the video today, guys. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the video and you feel like you want to throw a little something my way, I will have my link for my Buy Me a Coffee down below. Please like the video, comment, subscribe, keep your comments kind, share it with a friend as well. Some other programs coming. Next start of the videos, I'm going to start doing some Christmas cards. But yeah, please, by all means, looking forward to hearing from you. Take care. Happy Halloween, everybody. Bye-bye.